My guest today is Heather Physioc, the remarkably interesting Group Connections Director at VMLY&R. Heather is the leader of an award-winning 40-person Discoverability Group. If you don't know what a Discoverability Group is, you're not alone. I'm going to ask her about it early in our discussion. Heather is an in-demand speaker who's presented at virtually every major conference in our industry. A short list of the places you might have heard her present includes Mozcon, Brighton, SearchLove, and Pubcon. In an industry that is very technical, Heather frequently presents on topics about the human side of actually doing our job. This is the tough work of earning trust with clients, building relationships with teammates, and fostering genuine collaboration. One of the things Heather's team is well known for is taking an interdisciplinary approach to search marketing. We're going to talk about how her integrated teams have created value for clients by unsiloing paid search, SEO, and performance rating. She is also a knowledgeable beer drinker. It was her idea for us to drink some delicious beers from Boulevard Brewing based in her hometown of Kansas City. So grab something cold to drink and join me for a conversation with Heather Physioc about client stewardship, what it takes to be a good teammate, and our mutual love for dogs. Heather Physioc, welcome to Suds and Search. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So this was your idea, Boulevard Brewing Company. I'm drinking the Space Camper. This is what's known as a Cosmic IPA.
Okay. Are you typically an IPA guy?
A little bit more of an IPA guy. That's
a little bit more of an IPA guy. Okay,
yeah.
So I'm having the I'm going to do the makeup tutorial thing here. The Kansas City Pilsner, but it's a special edition from the local brewery Boulevard with our art museum, which is the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. So strong recommend on that. Good beer, beautiful good can. Museum.
Yeah, beautiful can. Well, I'll give you a virtual cheers. Thank you again for coming on, Clink, and we'll get right into it. I'm really excited about this interview because you talk about things that I really like and I don't think that many people talk about. And this is the hard work of dealing with clients and teammates and large group dynamics and getting buy-in and psychology, all mixed into one. And so I think one of the things that would be a good place to start is you lead a discoverability group.
Yeah.
Not a job we have at SearchLove, not a position I'm familiar with. What is a discoverability group? And to give us a sense, it's a large team that you're managing too, right? It's almost 40 people.
It didn't used to be. It didn't used to be. Yeah. So I head up the Discoverability Group at VMLY&R. So we're a big global marketing agency, originally headquartered as VML in Kansas City, right here.
Yeah.
And it's still the largest office around the globe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe right up there with some of our offices in China. But about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we merged with industry icons Y&R. And so now we are VML Y&R. And we have somewhere around 80 offices around the world. But my group, when I started at VMLY&R 6 years ago this week, actually, there was one person doing SEO and there was one person doing PPC. And it was great, but it was very fledgling as a practice at the agency. But since then, we have grown to one group, 3 teams, 35, 36 people in 6 offices across North America, as well as a team member in London. And then we have colleagues in search down in Mexico City and Bogota. But my group, Discoverability in North America and London, consists of organic search, paid search, and performance content writing teams, which were all originally separate, but we've since come together under one umbrella to create this, we call it interdisciplinary approach, where we're not just sitting side by side and doing our individual jobs separately, but we're starting to find points of overlap between the different teams to actually create new ways to solve new problems and coming up with new services that maybe we didn't offer before. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And you use these words like interdisciplinarity and discoverability.
It's not made up, despite accusations in the industry. It is real.
It is a real term, and I love this idea. One of the things that you start out with is a bit of skepticism about agencies who we all say we collaborate. It's all one team. Why are people doing what they say they are, or at least what they want to do? Why is this so hard?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all good intent, right? Like, I think we, we have friends at the office and we assume we're collaborating well. That's probably part of it. The part of it is also, wishful thinking. We wish we were collaborating the way that we tell our clients that we do. I think marketers will tell our clients that or potential clients that, because we want to be like, yeah, this is a one-stop shop. This is totally integrated. You're going to get the most bang for your buck. And that's true when you're actually collaborating that way. But I think the hard part is when we go back to our offices, right? Well, our home offices now. But when we go back to work, we go back into our individual silos. We get buried under our task lists for the day. And then we get tunnel vision on what we know and what we're good at. And it's like we've completely forgotten the actual work that goes into integrating. So despite all good intent, we still end up with a siloed approach. And I think it's just because collaboration is hard.
Yes.
It's hard, and it requires constant mindfulness and attention to putting in the effort to seek the perspective of others. By the way, can I introduce you to a friend of mine?
Yes, please do.
Poppy, please come here. Poppy, here. So this is Poppy. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but she is the most discoverable dog. Sit, please.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
what
so
a
she likes to make appearances on all of my podcasts. So
awesome.
She's keeping me covered today.
Well, my dog is taking a nap over there. That is
yes, I woke her from her nap.
Yeah. Oh, she's precious. I love it.
Oh, she's so sweet. Sweet as pie.
I love dogs so much. I'm so glad we had one make a cameo.
That's sort of my thing. Yeah, sorry, where were we?
No, that's it. So I guess maybe a good question is why is this bad? Like, why is siloing bad? What's the trouble with go do your SEO and go do your pay-per-click, and we'll see each other at Christmas time.
That's a valid question. I don't know if anybody's ever actually taken it back to the root to be like, why is this a problem? It's like we all just kind of inherently know that it is.
Yeah, right.
There's a few reasons that immediately come to mind. One is you're just not doing your best work. I think we as individuals are limited to our own experiences and the work that we individually have done. But when you expose your ideas and your work to people who work in other disciplines and have other experiences and areas of expertise, they're able to sort of question and poke holes and present things that you wouldn't have thought of in another way. And that's going to strengthen your idea. I think it's also a big cost saver for clients. I think that's why we tell them we do that in the pitches is you're going to get this, more bang for your buck, one-stop shop, because you're not going to waste as much administrative time communicating between teams, because we're all operating on one mission, I guess you would say. There's not information gaps, your strategy's more aligned, your touch points are better. And so I guess the reverse is true when you're operating in silos. Those things kind of fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
That's good.
Another thing I agree with that. Another thing, you had a great real life example of ways you can get speed. So if you want to have somebody write title tags and meta descriptions, they can also write PPC text ads. I mean, it's not that, it's basically the same thing. It's the same headspace. And now you're operating at a scale and a speed that wasn't there before. And so I think, are there other examples of that where you found that you got speed because of this sort of collaboration, for lack of a word?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I actually just did a talk for the Brighton SEO Search Summit, and it was all about the internal crowdsourcing that we're able to do as a team now. And the principles are especially beneficial when you have a team of multiple disciplines, but it also works if you're just crowdsourcing with other people in the industry, But a big part of it is trying to find where certain types of work maybe overlap or are very similar. Like you said, if somebody can write headlines and social copy, they can probably also write title tags and meta descriptions, PPC ad copy, and so on and so on. And I know a lot of great SEOs where, writing maybe isn't their strongest suit, which happens. That's normal. So why not leverage the people who are great writers and fast writers, and they're very good at taking data-driven insights and actually turning it into ad copy or whatever. Why not leverage that capability? But you'll also find there's a lot of similarities in skill sets across these three teams. So paid search and organic search both do keyword research. What can we spread around or share or challenge each other with there? And SEOs, PPCs, and performance content writers all write. So what can we overlap there? And so that allows us to get speed and scale, but also scale up and down as demand changes. So like maybe things are a little slower right now, or things dip in the summer, but for whatever reason, Q4 and Q1 are always just a total madhouse, and we've got a lot of demand. This allows us to kind of seamlessly move work around across the team, which keeps everyone busy, keeps everyone's skills sharp, exposes them to new kinds of work so they're not working on the same thing every day. There's a lot of perks to that sort of internal crowdsourcing model. And I don't just use it for like deliverables either. It's ideas, it's research, it's presentations, it's whatever.
Wow, I love this. And so it sounds like a much better job too, I would say. So yeah, exactly. You can grow and adapt and get better skills. So it's all good. You have 12 in this Moz article that you wrote. I think it came out in May, if I'm not mistaken. We're filming this. Yeah, we're filming this in the middle of June 2020. You have 12 tips for integration success. Not to put you on the spot, do you remember some of these? And we may not have time for all 12, but what are some of the integration tips that you would share with our audience?
Oh boy. One of them is probably create a culture of feedback. That's something I'm thinking a lot about lately. It's that presence of mind to even seek out perspective to begin with instead of an afterthought. Like I think every SEO ever has had that moment where the content has already gone to the site and then someone calls you and says, can you SEO this? And you're like, oh,
totally. Yeah.
It's realizing we're kind of guilty of that too, where we don't think to check with our paid search friends to figure out what the implications might be of our SEO work, or maybe writers are pushing out content that hasn't taken into account what people are actually searching for. So just that presence of mind to seek that out as an active step in your process typically is a big one. Boy, I can't remember anything I wrote now that you are.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite one of all was no process is precious.
No process is precious. Yeah. And that was especially beneficial when we merged teams.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, because we all need processes. They're important. But if they're stifling creativity or innovation or whatever, it may do more harm than good. I liked that tip very much. So I encourage everyone, go check out the article. It's exhaustive. It's really great. And it's something you've been speaking about a lot. So I think you really are the expert in this.
Well, when somebody creates a process, it's kind of their baby, right? And we get very attached to our work, and that's totally understandable. But process is meant to be improved. It's meant to evolve and change. Nothing stays static forever. It actually brings to mind something that we're going through right now. So we've got 35 people on the team. There's some administrative stuff like submitting timesheets or project management that has to be done to keep the team running. But now there's so many little admin things that it's actually starting to bog the team down. And while those things have been very helpful to growing us where we are today, and they're helpful to me as a boss because I know all the things that are going on, the reality is things are falling through the cracks. It's putting a lot of burden on the team. So I actually challenged the leaders on my team this year to evaluate, we called it Operation Wisdom Teeth, because it's like pulling teeth to get people to do this. It's so dumb. I'm sorry. But I challenged them to look at these 12 processes, one per month or something like that, and find out what's broken about them. Like, why are they so hard? What is it about these processes that people don't like? And let's fix it, because we need to do these things, but the processes aren't working for people. And the only rule is that they cannot add anything. They can only simplify and take things away. So we're in the middle of that now. It's going really, really well. I'm so impressed with the ideas they're coming up with.
I get the sense that you must be a whiteboard wizard. Like, you just get up in front of your team. And are you that kind of a thinker where you like to get it on the whiteboard, cross things out, or no? Am I wrong about that?
No, I think you're really right. No, it's how my brain operates. It's like, okay, I'm having a hard time following. Let me whiteboard this out and like think of it live. I am that ass that stands up in the middle of the meeting and grabs a whiteboard marker. Yeah, you kind of have me pegged.
Oh, good. Well, there's a couple of things I also want to just make sure I nail down. So what makes an SEO a good partner to their client? What are some major characteristics in your mind?
Yeah, so we actually, we call this client stewardship. And it's all about going beyond the basics of your technical job description, like can you do SEO? It's going beyond that to how well do you serve your clients? And we actually got together as a team and crowdsourced this one too. Yeah, it's a model. So we put our heads together and asked, what does it mean to be an exceptional client steward? And it's everything from our client engagement team calls it falling in love with your brand. Like you have to kind of become obsessed with the brand, like you're in this fledgling relationship. So you're following their stock performance and you're reading up on their executives and you're learning about their competitors and their customers, and you just like immerse yourself in this because then it becomes second nature to think about and act on behalf of the brand, which I think is super, super important. But it's also stuff like being proactive with them. They're paying us to challenge them and bring smart recommendations forward to them. They don't do SEO, that's why they're paying us. They shouldn't have to ask us to bring forward recommendations. That's our job. And we should be doing more than just bringing forward this giant checklist of action items. Like there should be context and prioritization and understanding for the fact that they have to make hard decisions about where their budget is being spent. There's so many things above and beyond SEO best practices that a great SEO should be doing. We should be bringing forward thought leadership. They can't attend every conference. That's our job to understand and tell them what's important. So if you had to like boil it down into just a few key things, care, give a shit what's going on with your client, communication, over communicate because it reduces their anxiety and helps them to know that their business is in good hands, and be proactive. Don't make them ask for it. That's what I look for in a candidate.
And so along the lines of my dad said this one time, like if it wasn't for clients and employees, this would be great. I would love it. So
humans, if it wasn't
for humans, yes, I'm sorry, if it wasn't for humans, this would be awesome. So what makes a great teammate? What are some qualities that make you a great teammate and part of a great team?
Give a shit, communicate.
Same things, right?
Yeah. Honestly, right? It's like part of being a good person. It does go a little bit beyond that, but I would say this makes great client partnerships too. It's, that culture of feedback, being willing to challenge each other, question things, and elevate ideas makes you a great teammate. And not, if it's like interpersonal stuff, not stewing on it, but actually like having those hard conversations with people, heaven forbid. Like when problems come to me, it's sort of your job when you become a boss, is like things just get escalated up to you, and that's normal. But the first question out of my mouth is always, have you talked to that person? I guarantee you, if you adopt that philosophy, your team's going to build like a stronger connectivity. That crowdsourcing culture also comes into play. It's like an expectation that if you have the capacity, you'll raise your hand to help with work or pitch in on a problem or add ideas. So we just have a very collaborative environment in general. We use Microsoft Teams, so the conversation's constant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the same things. It's give a shit, communicate well, and be proactive.
Wow, that's awesome. Why do you think?
I say the S word? I'm really sorry. I did not ask that at the top.
We're R-rated here. It's whatever you want to say. So yeah, I'll never be able to have Greg on the show if we outlaw swearing. So so I guess the last thing, why aren't more SEO presenters talking about this kind of things you're doing? It's such a technical field. People really like to talk about, JavaScript and really advanced things. But this is the actual day-to-day, in my opinion, of actually doing this. This is what I think about at the end of the day, or what really gets me through from one sequence to the next. Why do you think there aren't more people going and talking about these kind of soft skill, interdisciplinary, or interdisciplinary conversations and integrations.
Well, in a way, I'm kind of happy they're not, because it gives me a way to be present and valuable. But, you know, it's true. There are a lot of technical capability SEO talks out there, and that's twofold. One, there's a valuable place for that. This is a rapidly changing environment. We need people out there digging deep, understanding these new capabilities, and then being able to break it down for people and make that accessible. So that's really, really valuable. And there are some speakers out there, I think, that do a great job of speaking about the business side of the business. Dana DiTomaso comes to mind, for example. But I think there's a few things that maybe hold people back from doing it. One, these are big, squishy concepts. That just happens to be the kind of stuff I like to dig into, is like the MBA for SEOs. I like to find these moments of friction and then like zoom out and figure out, you know, why is it this way? Why is this problem this way? What is it that makes it happen? Why is it tick like this? And also, what are like tactical ways you can solve it? But that's a big, squishy, nebulous concept. It'll take me like 6 months to a year to really feel confident in the topic that I'm bringing forward on stage. Whereas some folks just need to turn talks out more quickly. And sometimes that tactical stuff is just less time intensive, more time current, if that makes sense. It also, fun fact about the talks that I do, oftentimes I will commit to a topic on a problem I haven't solved yet. So it's kind of my little manager hack. So last year it was all about interdisciplinarity, and we had done some great things there, but I wanted to be more mindful about how we approached it. So I pitched it as a talk, and that forced me to do the research and talk to people and learn how to do it and break it down in a more meaningful way. And before that, it was, you know, barriers to getting your work implemented with clients. Before that, it was why it's so hard to get content created at agencies. And this year, it's about competitive advantage. Like, how do we make ourselves unique in this, you know, increasingly commoditized and crowded competitive landscape? So because they're big, deep research projects, it maybe isn't the most appealing thing for a speaker to sign on for.
I get it. Well, I'm glad you're doing it. I love the topics. This is every guest's favorite part of the show, where Greg, right before I talk to someone, Greg says all these things I should ask them. He doesn't give me a ton of context.
Okay, great.
And so then it comes out of nowhere, but he said, make sure you ask Heather about her tattoos, and maybe like, what's your favorite tattoo?
Oh, that, he knows better than to ask what's your favorite. That's like asking which of his kids is his favorite.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I have probably more than 60 hours of tattoos on my human. I have, can I shout out my tattooers? Is that cool?
Please do, yeah.
Yeah, so my shins, I have vegetables and fruit on two sides, and they're beautiful. Those are done by Sean Nell in Portland, Oregon. I've got a 3/4 sleeve here of namasu, which is like a giant catfish that causes earthquakes in Japan. That's the story, being pinned down by a gourd. And that's by Mark Galloway at Windhorse Tattoo here in Kansas City, which I love. And then I've got a flying fish from Bogota. I've got my babies, my dogs in there. They passed away last year, but I've got a lot of healing happening with Miss Pop back there. And then Athena. And these are all by Sarah Anderson at formerly Old Souls, now Green Gazelle in Kansas City. And then I've got a Seascape half sleeve on my leg from Amy Bug here in Kansas City. And my favorite is all of them. I don't know, like they're all my favorites for different reasons, or I wouldn't have put them on my body forever.
Well, awesome. And for people who don't know, Greg is also completely sleeved up and tattooed all over. Yeah.
Amazing work of like films and actors, and just, you've never seen portrait work that looks like his. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's very good. And then he told me to ask you about your dog, which I will have to tell him. She's already made a cameo. So she's
every
the star
time
of the show.
Like talks about dogs or shows dogs, like my shoulders eat my neck.
Oh, I love it. Well, Heather, how can people stay in touch with you if they want to reach you? Are you on Twitter? Are you on LinkedIn? How do people find you?
I'm on all of those things. So if anybody wants to reach out, I love chatting with people, talking shop, solving big problems. Poppy and I can be found at Heather Physioc pretty much everywhere. That's PHYSIOC. I get psycho a lot. It's Physioc. But yeah, I would love to hear from folks. Maybe have a beer.
That's it. And thank you for the recommendation. I also recommend Boulevard Brewing to anybody who's in Kansas City. I got it in Chicago, no problem.
No problem?
I had it at Benny's. It was easy. Yeah.
So what's the Chicago local brewery then? Like, what is your brewery of choice that I should try here?
Oh, I think Maplewood is really good. I don't know if they have that there, but everything from Maplewood is excellent.
I saw it today when I was picking up my Boulevard.
I would give that a shot. Half Acre is a big brand that's right in our neighborhood, so they're very good too. And then, yeah, I could keep going. There's a lot of good ones here.
Mark, I promise you that I will try those breweries for you.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Heather, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Keep doing, I think you're doing some of the most interesting work in SEO. So I really enjoyed spending some time talking to you about it.
Well, thank you so very much for having me. I enjoyed it too. Cheers to you, my friend.
All right. Cheers. See you next time.